Well, observations show that more and more mothers, it seems, enjoy joining the hordes of other such parents in what they believe is an enlightened group of woke participants. A modern social phenomenon that's particularly evident among certain subset of middle-class, university-educated mothers who joyfully follow the ADHD misguided idiotic and neurotic beliefs and attitudes. In many communities, especially in urban or higher decile areas of New Zealand, ADHD and other conditions, autism, sensory procession disorder, anxiety, etc., are no longer seen with concern, but with a kind of status glow. For some, actually, it's become, my child is neurodivergent, and I'm part of a conscious, supportive community that challenges old systems. Yep, that's how their mind works. My child is neurodivergent, so proud of it, and I'm part of the conscious, supportive community that changes old systems. This has turned into a type of social club, often driven by online forums, parenting groups and social media echo chambers. The trouble is that parents are trying to avoid blame. If a child misbehaves, falls behind, or lacks discipline, there's always much easier to say, or they have ADHD, and the system isn't supporting them, never to question parenting choices, screen time, or structure within the home. For many years, in the 1950s and 60s, I personally ran youth clubs. We did have some kids that today would be diagnosed with ADHD, but we just handled them in slightly a different way, and the end result was most successful. Back then we did not need a diagnosis. We needed discipline, direction, and a bit of grit, but most importantly, common sense and wanting to be a good parent. For many years we saw all types of kids walk through those doors, full of energy, full of noise, and sometimes full of trouble. Today many of those same kids would be quickly diagnosed with ADHD or some form of behavioural issue. Back then we didn't need a label. We just handled them a little bit differently, and you know what? It actually worked. We didn't medicate them. We didn't send them to therapy. We gave them structure, purpose, and someone who expected better from them. If a kid couldn't sit still, we gave them more to do. Responsibility, not diagnosis. If they acted up, we dealt with it. Not with endless meetings or parent interventions, but with consistency and common sense. And do you know what happened? 9 times out of 10, they straightened out. They found their footing, they became contributors, not victims of their own behaviour. Today it seems we've lost that approach entirely. Well, why that is, of course, is we've lost common sense. There is a certain, I think anyone under 35 has certainly got no common sense whatsoever. Modern day parenting, or at least a certain breed of it, is obsessed with labels. A growing number of mothers in particular seem to wear their child's ADHD or anxiety diagnosis like an absolute badge of honour. It's no longer, my child is misbehaving, but my child is neurodivergent and society needs to adjust. It's turned into a social movement, one part moral superiority, one part excuse making. I would say the majority of it is straight-out excuse-making because of bad parenting. What's worse is how schools and employers are folding under this pressure. Teachers are terrified to discipline children in case a parent comes in swinging with terms like executive dysfunction or emotional deregulation. Managers and workplaces now tread on eggshells, unable to question performance without being accused of albinism or insensitivity. Let's be clear. ADHD, it certainly is real. But it's not a personality trait, a fashion statement, or a parent's talking point at brunch. This is a serious condition where it actually exists that some people genuinely suffer from, and for whom genuine support is probably necessary. But when everyone starts waving the ADHD flag, 2 things happen. Those with real struggles are then overlooked, and the rest are allowed to drift through life, never held to account because some clown said they had ADHD. In the youth clubs I ran, we expected the best from kids, not perfection, but effort. We gave them second chances, not lifelong excuses, and perhaps most importantly, we didn't talk down to them with therapy speak. We spoke plainly and treated them like they were capable of improvement, because you know what? They were capable of improvement. We need to bring that mindset back. Labels don't build character, expectations do. Let's stop diagnosing every challenge and start raising our kids. And raise them up to adults who are stronger than their excuses. I can recall only 4 young people who I believe, looking back, may have had a genuine disruption from ADHD. We actually dealt with them. I still know those 4 little devils. Each of them became most successful in their different fields of endeavour. 2 of them were self-made millionaires before they were 40 years old. That was in the 80s. The other 2 have been high-profile civil servants with a career record that anyone would be proud of. So stop this bullshit using ADHD as a social badge and start being really responsible adults and educationalists and start directing these kids with a firm hand and at the same time applying some bloody common sense discipline. And for goodness sake, keep those young adults off that awful, awful medication.